Hi, welcome back to another episode of Obsessed by Everything Bravo on video. So if you're interested in what I look like, I don't know why you would be. You can go check that out on YouTube. It's Obsessed by Bravo, my YouTube page. The last video that I uploaded got 75 views, which is about 10 times more than any of the other ones got. So very exciting for that. Don't know what changed about that. Currently going to be working on a new intro and outro, and like I had when I was just doing audio, I just have not had time with Christmas and dying of this upper respiratory illness. And as you can hear, I'm still suffering. I feel okay. I'm just like I feel like I sound really bad, and I'm constantly coughing and sneezing. So I just don't feel like that makes a great podcast experience. So I just have been holding off. So I appreciate everybody's patience in not getting new episodes, as you are worthy of them. But unfortunately, it just is what it is. I want to put out good content so that you enjoy it and not have to listen to me, sneezing. So it is what it is. And one thing I did notice when I'm doing this, I feel like I've been sick a lot this year. I don't know. I had that headache thing. That was crazy. But anyway, so it goes. I guess it's just I'm getting older. And then people were talking about how everybody's getting sick more because of COVID. And as someone who, who had COVID, like the OG COVID, like round one COVID that I got immediately after seeing our very first COVID patient in the hospital because we did not know it was an airborne virus. So I just got it immediately. And then also being super scared and literally not telling anyone outside of my immediate family that I had COVID because I didn't know if it was going to be like this weird thing. Like, this is how early, March. I had it in March. That my immune system, and I've had COVID 3 times now, so my immune system is probably just shit. And I'm getting older, here we are. Also, I feel like in December I was so busy and really just running myself ragged, I think, and that didn't help. But we're not here to talk about me. We are here to talk about The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 2, Episode 7. It's been a while since I've recorded, so I was like, what happened? But even though I'm not recording, I have been watching. So a lot of stuff is happening, okay? This is such a good season. A lot of stuff is happening. The stuff that's happening in this episode where I am now, not even a thought. But this is episode 7, Game Night Gone Wrong. Okay, so last time we talked, we had Dana Pam's game night where everybody was being very exclusatory. They were just excluding, I don't know the word, how to make that into a verb. They were excluding Brandi, like very mean girl behavior. Dana was being mean, who was the host. Taylor, who is supposedly Brandi's friend, was not jumping to her side. Adrian wasn't there. Camille was like practically like she didn't know where to turn because she also doesn't want to be on anybody's bad side. And then Kyle and Kim were just being extra mean to her. And so basically, Kim was like, I don't want her on my team. I want Taylor on my team. And just all this stuff, just being really mean and rude. And obviously, Brandi was very hurt by that. She's also broke her foot. So she's on crutches. And Kim hid her crutches. So, it's so mean, but it's like, I don't know. I don't know what to say. It's just like so stupid. But anyway, so this is where we're opening up after like a heated exchange between Kyle and Kim versus Brandi, right? So we open back up and we just hear Kyle saying, "You're pathetic." And Brandi makes like the timeout, like the T timeout signal with her hands. And then Kim goes, "Now you're being a mother?" And Brandi's like, "Well, I am a mom." And Kyle says, "Yeah, she does have 2 sons who peed on the grass and you didn't even apologize for it." I told you this was going to come back. Like the most dumb thing ever. Just a little boy, a 4-year-old too. Like not even like a school age kid who knows better. An actual toddler gets out of the pool and pees on the grass. Who cares? Like, it's a literal baby. Like, it wasn't like a man being creepy. You know what I mean? It was just a little boy who, instead of peeing in the, I'm with Brandi. Instead of peeing in the pool, at least he didn't do that, you know? But yeah, is it weird? Yeah, but also Kyle's not a boy mom. Like, she just doesn't understand that boys just whip it out. You know what I'm saying? They don't care. And especially like a toddler, they don't, a preschooler, I guess, they don't have that like thing in their brain that makes that not okay, you know? So, of course, she's like, and you didn't even apologize for that. And Brandi, I mean, she's switch has flipped. Like, she was hurt and she was upset because she's being left out and they were being mean to her. And now that switch has flipped and now she's like that cornered animal, like attacking. She was like, don't talk about my children. And Kyle's like, I get that kids do that, but maybe you should correct them. Kids don't know any better than mothers do. She's like, if I had a son, maybe I would say, you know, maybe you shouldn't be doing that at a party. And Brandy's like, I don't think it's actually a bad thing. And Kyle goes, well, I'm sure you don't, where you're from. What is that supposed to mean? Where is she from? She's from Sacramento. You know, that place where Adrian owns the basketball team? Yeah. So anyway. Okay. So Kyle's like, I'm sure it's not where you're from. And then Camille jumps in and she tells us, you know, Kyle can be a real bitch. Yeah, she can. And she says she can be tough. And Brandi goes, well, I don't have 85 nannies like you guys do. And so, of course, that's Kyle's trigger. And she's like, I understand you're not capable of much more. And Brandi goes, well, you say I'm not capable. And Kyle's like, I'm not talking about your child. He's young. So Brandi is like in tears and she's like, what should I do? Jump up and catch his pee with my hands? Seriously, your sister's been in the bathroom all night since you're my God. Seriously, your sister's been in the bathroom all night since we got here. She's wasted. She's cracked out of her mind. Okay. Which is like such a leap, right? And here's the thing. Who do you think told her that they had weird feelings about Kim's sobriety? Let's just put our thinking caps on. Obviously, it was Paul and Adrian because this is the only people that Brandi knows. So Paul and Adrian were gossiping because Brandi she's not getting from here to here on her own with that, right? So obviously, Adrian and Paul were gossiping to Brandi about Kim, and then it comes out here. That is something that Brandi will do, good and bad. Because she is very easily manipulated to be used as a tool. We'll learn that in the next couple of seasons. I'm not going to really go into that or spoil that. But what I will say is she will overhear something and then just immediately utilize it. And so I just want to put a pin in that. We're putting pins all over the place. Our map is going to look like, I don't know, something with a lot of pins in it. I have to go to the store and buy more pens so we can put them in all of our thoughts. But just put a pin in that. We'll talk about this later. So she's like, your sister has been in the bathroom since we got here. She's wasted. She's cracked out of her mind. And Kyle's like, you don't know that. Watch your mouth. And then Brandi's like, you watch your fucking mouth. Don't talk about my children. And Kim's here the whole time. So she's like, well, I went one time, which is not true. She's at least gone twice that I've seen. And then Kyle's like, you have no class. You're trashy. You're classless. And then Brandi goes, well, you're a bitch. Fuck off. So Taylor is like, she tells us, she's like, this has gone too far. It's gone beyond anything that we should have ever started saying to each other. So Brandi's in tears now. She's sitting there. Okay. She can't move because she's got a broken foot. She's walking in crutches. Her crutches are gone. No crutches. So Brandi's just like sitting there. She's in tears and she says, no one insults my children. And Kyle's like, you insulted my sister. You can fuck off. Which, okay, let's rewind because no, Brandi didn't insult Kim until after you start talking about her kids peeing, which it's not actually like an insult. Kyle was not insulting her children. She was basically being like, you just let your kids pee in the thing and it, in front of everybody, it's rude. That's not like an insult. That's just kind of like a mean thing to say. But for Brandi, and I want to make this very clear, for Brandi to be like, she's cracked out of her head to someone that everyone knows everyone knows this now. And Brandi's a well aware, you know what I mean? She watched season 1 at least. So, for everyone that knows, that Kim has an issue with alcoholism, and then to say, oh, she's been in the bathroom all night, implying that she's doing drugs in the bathroom, that's a bridge too far. Okay. But Brandi didn't say that first. That was in reaction to stuff that Kyle was said. And that's another thing about Brandi. She's not going to take the first punch. She's like one of those people who's like, I'm not going to start a fight, but I'll end it. And it's like, yeah, she really will. Cause she's going as low as possible, like underneath the gutter into hell is basically where Brandi will go. And she's not afraid to go there. So Kyle's like, you insulted my sister. You can fuck off. And then Brandi's like, well, your sister insulted me in the first place. She was sitting over there saying, I don't like her. I'm supposed to hear that and say, oh, that's great. Are you kidding me? And she's like crying at this point, and all the other ladies are starting to react to that. So do you remember where I said last time that Brandi really, by reacting in anger, she really fucked herself over this? Because if she just kept it sad the whole time, I think she would have got a lot of sympathy from, especially Camille, for sure. Camille. And, Dana doesn't have a dog in this fight. And I really think if she had not reacted so angry and said all those things about Kim, she would have gotten a sympathetic reaction from Kyle, because I feel like Kyle, you can very easily turn her anger around into sympathy with tears and with a sympathetic argument. She's not a monster. She is a mean girl, but not a monster. So all the other ladies are reacting to this. And at this point, Kyle's like, look, I didn't notice that, but you attacked my sister and you expect me not to react. And then Kim goes, yeah, you called her a bitch. And then Brandi says, she was being a bitch. Hello. And Kim goes, she's not a bitch. And so Brandi's like, okay, well, you're the Queen of England and I'm a trailer park compared. And Kim's like, no, you're the only one in here acting like that. And then Brandi says, all right, well, at least I don't do crystal meth in the bathroom all night long, bitch. Oh my God, crystal meth. What a wild, like, statement. And then Taylor goes, oh, she's like, she like falls back onto the chair, which clutching her pearls. She's like, oh my God. So now Kyle and Kim get up again, and Kyle's like, let me tell you something. Okay. Kyle gets up and says, Brandi, let me tell you something. And Brandi says, walk away. You do not talk about my babies. I will fucking kill you. So I will fucking kill you. So now she stands up, but she has no crutches. Okay. She does, and she stands up, and I don't know where she's going, but she can't go anywhere because she has no crutches. So Kyle's like, you don't ever want to talk to me like it again like that. My sister, don't talk about her like that. You don't know anything about her. You've never met her. And Brandi's like, you're right. I've never met her, and she's already decided she doesn't like me. Don't put your finger in my face. So then Kim comes around and says, now they're together, okay? And she's like, I'll put my finger in your face. I'll put my finger in your face. Like, this close, okay? Like, right up in Brandi. Not like, it's like, when your little brother is like, I'm not touching, but he's like in your face. That's what she's doing. And so Taylor, again, I have to just point this out because there's just a disconnect for me with Taylor. She's the one that gets up, gets in the middle of them, separates them like this, and she's like, enough. And I was like, oh my God, okay. This is her word. She just likes to say enough. But she's pushing them both out of the way. And it actually almost gets physical, because when Kim's pointing, Brandi swipes at her arm like this. So yeah, so now they're separated. And so Kim goes back across the room and with Kyle again. And this is like what I'm going to use for the picture of this episode is like Kyle and Kim pointing. It's so like sadly iconic, but Kim goes, "You're a pig. You're a slut pig." And then Taylor is yelling, "No one's touching anyone in the house. There'll be no touching. No one is going to lay a finger in this house. I will not have it." Now, okay, let's put a pin in that. Because Taylor's now literally wigging out, okay? And so she doesn't want there to be physical violence, and she's wigging out about that. And Taylor tells us, like, what are they going to do? Beat each other up at this point? What is this, a barroom brawl? Like, barroom brawl is hard to say. And then Dana's like, "Listen, we're from Beverly Hills." She's like, "We live our lives not like this." And Brandi goes, "No, I'm from the trailer. Don't forget." So Kyle and Kim both go, "We know." And Brandi is like, "I'm going home." And then Kim goes, "Oh, good." And so Brandi tells us, she's like, "I should have left earlier when they started being mean to me, but I just wanted to be the bigger person. And I failed really badly at that." And Dana's just sitting there and she goes, "This is uncomfortable." You think? So then everyone gets up and like leaves the room except for Dana, and Brandi can't find her crutches because let's not forget Kim fucking hid her crutches. I mean, I don't mean to laugh. It's terrible, but it's terrible that she did that. I'm not trying to laugh at Brandi. I'm laughing at the ridiculousness of this. Like, what? And they called her a slut pig. They said she's trash. I mean, they said so many hateful things about Brandi, and all Brandi did was say, "You did crystal meth in the bathroom." I mean, I don't really see the comparison there. Anyway, but everybody left, so Dana is stuck there, and she's helping her. And I think Dana felt bad because she also was treating her badly, and she was like, "Kyle, I don't like her. Make her stop." Because she's trying to suck up to Kyle and Kim and Camille and all them, right? So she's like, obviously, I'm going to side with Kyle and Kim, even though it doesn't really make any difference to her, right? But she knows what side her bread is buttered, and it ain't Brandi. You know what I'm saying? But so now she's kind of backtracking, and she realizes that she's the hostess, and she's going to have to help this woman at least get out of her home. So they're like looking everywhere and for the crutch. And so now we have these two separate people where we have Dana and Brandi are talking, and then all the other ladies are in another room talking. So Kim is upset in the next room, and then Brandi is complaining, and she was like, "They already said that they didn't like me." And then Dana was like, "Well, you did start with saying that she was in the bathroom all night." And then Kim tells Kyle that she really wants to leave because she's upset because that's the biggest insult she's ever had. And then she called Brandi a whore. And I don't, like, other than the fact of that Brandi keeps saying this, I don't know where they're getting this from, because like, where are they getting this from? Like, there's no evidence that Brandi's a whore. Even now, like, she's never had that kind of reputation. I don't know. And Brandi's like, "Look, I need to just hobble out of here." So Dana goes to find her crutch, and she says that she's like, "I'm sorry you had a bad night." Baby, you're the hostess. Like, why didn't you come to her defense or stop it before it got out of hand? Like, you just let that ball roll down the hill. Like, this is really your fault. And no one knows where the crutches are except for Kim, because like Kyle knew she hit him, but she didn't know where they are. And Dana's trying to downplay everything, and she's like, "Oh, it's not a big deal. Don't take it personally." And Brandi's like, "No, if you insult my children, I take it personally. He's a little boy. At least he didn't pee in the pool." This whole thing was about her son peeing, by the way. So then Camille is with the others, and she was like, "That's too far. That crystal meth, that's too far." And Kyle is like, "How would you just bring that up out of thin air? We don't even know her. It was just weird." So now Brandi is leaving, and Dana goes over to where Kim is, and she's hugging her. And Brandi tells us that she'll be happy if she never has to see any of these people again. But obviously that's not what happens. And Dana is like, "Kim, I really like you. Let's like go on a healthy, safe vacay. Just us, little girls trip." Like, it's so weird. And Camille tells us she can tell that Dana desperately wants to be part of the group, meaning she wants to be a housewife. Like, she's She's smart. She's going about it the wrong way, though. She's going about it the wrong way because here's the thing. She never gets her diamond. Guess who gets it? Fucking Brandi. So now the ladies are all waiting because Brandy's sitting out in her car and she hasn't left yet. So Kim doesn't want to go out there and she's uncomfortable. And Camille says, that was really uncomfortable, you guys. And Kim's like, well, now you know how it was like for everybody else besides you and Kyle last year. And they all laugh at that. And then Kim does leave. Taylor tells us that she knows Kim was not on crystal meth, but she's worried about Kim because she did seem disoriented. Now, Kim did tell Kyle that she was put on some new medication. So maybe just put that in our back, put a pin in it, another pin. Don't worry. I went to Costco and got pins. So then Taylor and Camilla are talking about how uncomfortable that was. And Taylor's like, she brought up the slut thing again tonight. And no one here is saying that or cares, by the way. And Taylor tells us that she feels bad for Brandi and doesn't like the fact that she talks so badly about herself and that she needs to get to the root of whatever it is that makes her hate herself. And boy, that is just right on the money. I feel like this therapy is working for Taylor. Because she's able to identify other people's problems. It's maybe not so much working on her own issues. She still has to work on that, but she's able to identify other people's problems. And you know what? That is a first step. It's just like me. But yeah, that is really the root of the issue of Brandi. It's her self-hate, which makes her act like that. Because if she was like a secure person, she wouldn't be lashing out and she wouldn't, like, none of us would be able to sit there at a group party and have someone like in the room where you can see them and hear them say, I don't like her. Nobody is going to like have a good day with that. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is a lot of like what I'm saying, like if that happened to me, I would probably just leave. And I wouldn't say, I'm not going to say anything. I would leave. And then whoever I was close to, I would tell them how fucking inappropriate that was and how they were singling me out. Brandi can't act like that. And even though, and I want to remind you, I'm the same age that these women were then. So like theoretically we should be on the same maturity level, but Brandi's not there because she's not a secure person. And the reason she's not a secure person is because all the shit that her husband did to her, right? I think that's where her insecurities lie, is like she just, she got taken out at the knees and she just has never been able to really recover. And not even like having success and fame on the Housewives was able to give her that, because that's the thing is like when you're that insecure, the security doesn't come from external sources. It has to come from your own self, right? You have to learn to love yourself for who you are. But anyway, Taylor says that she told me she was dating 3 guys, and I was like, good. When you're divorced, that's what you should do. And Camille says, I don't even think 3 guys would like me, which is crazy because Camille's so beautiful. Every once in a while, I'll just catch Camille just like in a shot, and she's just so stunningly beautiful. And you're just like, damn, you just get to walk around like that. Like life is so unfair. So Dana and Kyle are chatting and she's like, I love Kim and we should all go on a journey together. Like another trip. She just keeps suggesting a trip. Like she already told Camille she wants to go to Hawaii. And then now this is the second time in like the span of a few minutes. So she's like, we should go on a journey. Okay. Weird. And Kyle tells us that Dana is bending over backwards to fit in. Hope she's stretched. Okay. So I just want to maybe recap everything that happened a little bit, because this is a major pivoting point in this season, right? Just like the you're a fucking liar, Camille, and all that. So, first of all, Adrienne and Lisa are not at this event, okay? We established something's going on with Kim. I feel like we've thought that for a while. In the bathroom multiple times, 3 to 4 times in the span of a couple of hours, which is not normal. Kim and Kyle, though, were together, which is good. Together against a common enemy, which is, of course, how you're going to be with your family, right? Fighting each other, but you're together for an enemy. And they made an enemy out of Brandi for no reason other than she's just modeled with Cedric 15 years ago. And now Brandi has said that Kim does crystal meth. So Adrian walks across the street over to Lisa's. Kyle's already there because they need to now talk about game night, right? So Lisa says she heard that game night was a catastrophe, and Adrian says, "Well, tell us what happened because I heard bits and pieces." And she heard the bits and pieces from Brandi. So she's like, "Give me your perspective because I only know Brandi's." And so Kyle says, "Well, when I got there, Brandi was already there and we were just kind of sitting around. And then we had the games and they wanted to split us up in groups." And so Kim says, "Well, I don't like Brandi. I don't want her on my team." And so Adrian is like, "Well, why doesn't she like Brandi?" And Kyle's like, "Well, just things she's heard around town, like how she slashed her husband's tires." Lead with that, babe. Why is this the first we've heard of that? And I don't doubt it. I didn't go and verify if this is true, but I'm taking this as it probably happened. Actually, I think she says it in the reunion that she did it. And honestly, I don't fault Brandi for slashing this man's tires. And then she says, "Well, slashing her son's tires. And also I told her about her son peeing in your yard." And Lisa goes, "For God's sake, are you kidding me?" And Adrian tells us that, well, Brandy's son pees in our lawn. And she's not upset about it because she's had 3 boys and they probably pee all over the place. And then Kyle says, a game we played was gave hints to have you guess a celebrity. I didn't even talk about this, but this was actually pretty funny. So she says a famous black celebrity, like civil rights leader, not Martin Luther King, but she was thinking of Winston Churchill. I can't imagine who she thought was like Malcolm X. Like, I don't know where she got Winston Churchill from. So then we finished that game and I was like, "Oh, why don't we play IQ? And then you can go first," like basically calling her stupid. And then she says, "Bring it on, bitch." And so Adrian's like, "Are you serious?" And apparently none of these people get that she was kind of saying that in a joking way. And Kyle's like, "Yeah." And then she says to my sister that she was in the bathroom all night doing crystal meth. What even is crystal meth? Kyle, come on. You know what crystal meth is. So Adrian tells us that Kyle is in denial about her sister. And Adrian is like, "Oh, she was doing meth in the bathroom." And Adrian tells us she hopes Kim is in a good place right now. However, sometimes her behavior is erratic. So Adrian says, "That was horrible and that you attacked her." And Kyle said, "What's attacking? Saying you should have corrected your son peeing in the grass or saying someone does crystal meth?" Now, you're downplaying what you were doing a little bit because, yeah, you were talking about her son peeing in the grass and Brandi took it too far, but it wasn't like you just said that and then she went off. It was like a culmination of you and Kim being total bitches to her. So Adrian tells us that she's sure that Kyle and Kim were pushing Brandi's buttons. So Lisa asked if Kim heard her say the crystal meth comment, and she tells us that it was a low blow and she wouldn't take it. So a counterattack was well deserved. And Lisa's like, "How do we move forward?" Because now they're going to a charity event. And she's like, "I don't want to go into World War III with Winston Churchill." Which is like, I don't know. This girl don't know who Winston Churchill is. Come on now. Not everybody is smart in that kind of stuff. Okay, so now Taylor goes to meet Brandi. They're going to go eat some lunch or drink some cappuccino or something. This is like another thing where I'm like, these people are not eating whatever these people are serving here. And Taylor tells us that she really empathizes with Brandi, that she has a tendency to see weakness and to feel for them because she understands where that's coming from. Taylor has another bruise on her face in this scene. It makes me wonder, is she doing this on purpose? Like, if it was me and I had a black eye, that very noticeable black eye or a bruise, I would not film. I would call my producer and I would say, "I can't do it today." Or I would hire a really good makeup artist and I would cover it. Neither one of those things are happening. And so she shows up with facial bruising. Another thing is she just explaining it away? Because if one of my friends, even someone I didn't know very well, showed up with a black eye, I would question it. In fact, you know what? One time I did get a black eye, and my son hit me in the face when he was a toddler. He hit me in the face with like one of those wooden blocks, and it wasn't like he just like swung his arm back, and it just like for whatever reason hit me like right in the place where it would give me a black eye. You know, I just had a bruise, and so I was literally like nervous that people were going to be like calling the cops on me. You know, I like had to go to work and stuff, and I wasn't swollen. It was just like bruised, like underneath my eye, like very noticeable. And it's just, I just had to be like, my toddler hit me in the face. You know, what are you going to do? It happens. But I was nervous that people were going to be questioning it or wondering if I was getting abused. And so for me, it's almost like she wants people to notice it, or does she have some kind of story like lined up that she's telling and then it's just not making it to the show because it's not really about that? I just have to wonder about that. It's very strange. So, anyway, Brandi said that she's had a terrible weekend. She hasn't been able to sleep since game night. She tells us that she doesn't know how it got to that level. And then she tells Taylor that, she knows she crossed the line and she really regrets it. But she gets really mad when someone mentions her parenting or her kids, and she just like loses her mind. She doesn't know if she should apologize for it or if they can even go back, like if they can even come back from where they went. And Taylor's like, I hate that you guys got off on such a bad foot. And, you know, this Kim thing, that's just like how she is. She's kind of that way. And Brandi says that she knows she's sitting there with like a cast on her foot and she can't really do anything or walk. They both come at her, attacking her. And she knows that she's not innocent, but she didn't expect everything to be that way. She just really wanted to go there and get to know everybody without being attacked. And Taylor says, look, Kim has been having panic attacks and dealing with anxiety a lot. So she's probably she's probably mixing anxiety medications. But to accuse her of doing crystal meth was hard. I can't even say it without laughing. To accuse her of doing crystal meth was pretty harsh. And Brandi tells us that Taylor was just making excuses for Kim, and that doesn't fly with her because she knows what's up and there's a problem. You know what's up? What do you mean? You know what you saw on the television show, which is exactly what we all saw on the television show. And that's not 1,000% the truth. So how can you say you know that there's a problem? You don't know shit because you don't actually know that person. And Taylor says, when you're first getting to know people, everyone needs to be on their best behavior. But this went so badly that Brandi may have to be open to apologizing to everyone. And she's like, well, what do you feel like you should do? And Brandy's like, I don't even know if there's any way to go. And Taylor says, look, talking to Kyle is the only way to work this through. I know it's not going to be pleasant, but you need to do it. So now we go to a scene where Kyle and Kim are taking their kids, all of their kids to their house in Palm Desert. And it's the first time that they've just been just them since the limo incident. And Kim tells some story in the car about how she accidentally used room deodorizing spray as breath spray. And then we find out Whitney, which is her second oldest daughter, doesn't want to go with them because apparently she's having issues with her sister Brooke. And Kim's like, it's not her place. And so Kyle is asking questions. So Kim's like, it's not my place to bring up my kids' issues. And just like how, you know, other people shouldn't be talking about our issues. It's not their place. And Kim jokes and she's like, who fights with their sister? That's ridiculous. So they get to their place. Everyone is like, oh, we miss mom, because this was Big Kathy's house. They're like, we can feel the energy at this house. Mauricio arrives and he tells us that, you know, last year Kim threw out some allegations in the limo fight about the house in Palm Desert. And then Kim cuts in and tells us that her and Kyle have never discussed the fact that Kyle took the house, and they haven't even spoken about it. and because they're trying to rebuild the relationship, but it's hovering over them and it's not going away. So if we remember the fight in the limo, so how that situation went about is Taylor and Kim got into a fight. Kim left. Kyle was looking for her. Kim was intoxicated and she was in the limo with Adrian and Martin talking about who knows what, thinking about this house. Kyle comes in. They start talking, then they start arguing, and then Kim says, "You stole my goddamn house." So that the house this is what they're talking about. And so that pisses Kyle off so much that she's like, "You're a liar, you're sick, and you're not alcoholic." Okay. But we didn't have the context. We're getting the context now. Okay. So basically Kyle, what I understand it to be is, when their mother passed away, she left the house equally to her daughters. Okay. Now, Kathy Hilton does not need part ownership in this house. So they probably bought her out of it. So then it would be just the two of them, Kyle and Kim, that have ownership of it. So for whatever reason, I don't know why, maybe Kim needed money at the time, they bought her out of the home as well. But then Kyle was basically like, "You obviously this is our family home. It's not our home. It's the family home. So you can use it." And I mean, even last year we heard that the Kim's kids were down there the weekend before they went down there for Easter. So it's like everybody uses it. It's free to use it. It's just that Kyle and Mauricio own it. Okay. So, okay. But that was what they were arguing about in the limo, and they haven't talked about it since then, but it's still there, like this white elephant. So Kyle is explaining this, and she says Kyle tells us that their mother left a number of properties to them. This one in particular, Kim wanted to buy back in, and Kyle said no. I don't know why. They don't ever explain why. I'm assuming it's just business interest, because I'm assuming what is Mo, being a real estate agent, probably knows the future worth of this house, and they want it for themselves. Is what I'm assuming. I know also in the future, Kyle and Mauricio buy another Palm Springs house that's like this luxurious, gorgeous. We'll go there. They also have a house, and I mean, I'm telling you, Mo and Kyle get rich. They're probably one of the more rich housewives right now. I don't know about now because, well, they're having to split assets. But at one time, they were big rich. So that's the only thing I can assume. I don't know. And Kim tells us that you know, that basically made Kim very upset. She tells us they said they don't want a partner, but I lived in that house too. I took care of my mother in that house. If they think I sold it for $20,000, are they okay? Hello. And so Mo tells us that they both know there's a fragility there and that everybody has to walk a fine line. And Kyle tells us it wasn't about the house or money. For Kim, it was sentimental, and she understands that, and she understands that this home is as much hers as it is mine. Okay. So there's that. This whole house thing is so strange, but I think it's a good lesson to learn. If you have a lot of assets, you can't be doing this. I've seen so many people just fight and fight and fight over like money when stuff's not specifically like laid out in your will. It will ruin friendship, like families and relationships, even when people don't have a lot. I work with a lady who basically said when her parents passed, like they were fighting just over the furniture, and it's not like it was worthless, but you know what I'm saying? Like it's not a Palm Springs home and other properties. And so they were fighting so much that she like doesn't talk to her siblings. Like it was just over, just run-of-the-mill middle-class furniture. So it's just like a good lesson to learn. Like you have to really spell this shit out. Okay, now we go to a scene. So this year, Lisa's storyline is essentially Pandora's wedding. I have no interest in Pandora's wedding, so we're just going to touch on the things that are important. But the one thing that is important is we meet the wedding planner, Kevin Lee. Now, Kevin Lee is, I'm sure, internet famous, but he just is like, Beverly Hills, darling, she. And that's like his thing. He just talks about, he's literally, his whole shtick is trying to get Lisa Vanderpump to spend the most amount of money on this wedding because he gets a cut out of it, right? So he's trying to get her to make $1 million wedding, and they're like, absolutely not. So they meet Kevin Lee, and they're gonna have the wedding at their home, and they have like this gazebo that they're gonna do the ceremony, and then they're gonna transform the tennis courts into the reception area. And he's like, yeah, this will be perfect, we can make it grand. And then he's like, an average wedding in Beverly Hills costs $1 million. And she goes, $1 million. She's like, what are they giving out for party favors? A bag of money? Which is like, come on, Lisa, you can do that. Okay, now we go back to Palm Desert. Kim and Kyle are out to lunch by themselves. And Kyle tells us it's hard because she's had to take a step back from Kim, but that means that she doesn't know a lot about what's going on in her life. So Kyle is asking about what's going on with, your daughters. Like, why are they fighting? And Kim is like, well, there's a distance between me and where the kids live. And, it's far from LA. And Kim's talking about how she wants to move closer to everybody. Baby, when I tell you, I wanted to throw my phone in my TV, you mean what Kyle fucking told you? The way that Kyle didn't say I told you so was like just an example of the highest restraint that you could ever have. Because last year Kyle was like, when she bought that house, or she's renting it. She's not buying it, but she moved into that house. She was like, this house is too big for you and it's too far away. And now in the 7 episodes that we've had, Kim's like, it's too big for me. My kids are all grown. I'm in here by myself. And now it's too far away from everybody. Baby, I'm literally, it makes me want to just like punch somebody in the face. So Kyle wants her to move close, and it's like she's not really sure about it. Kim tells us that Kyle is mothering her, and it's like when they're in a situation like game night, they have each other's back 100%, but when they're alone, it's pick. Well, baby, you're out of control. Kim says that she wants to keep herself independent, and that's why she wants to live far away. Ugh, that's so weird. Okay, so now we go over to Camille, and she is picking out an outfit because she is hosting a charity event where her and her mother are going to be honored because her mother has survived stage 3 ovarian cancer and is currently battling bladder cancer. Oh man, that's terrible. I don't know why. I don't know why I acted like that was news to me. So Dee Dee is there, and they're helping her figure out what to wear. Like, you gotta love Dee Dee. She's just always there, So we have another charity event, and it's one of those things where people are selling stuff, so there's like all these different booths with all this different stuff, and I'm guessing a portion of the proceed goes to charity. All the ladies are going to come. Kyle tells us that, charity luncheons are a big part of the social scene in Beverly Hills, and some people really put their time and money into it, while others are just there to look nice and waltz around. Brandi is there, and she says that she was invited, and she's not one to be bullied and not show up to things just because mean girls are being mean to her. Which you got to have a lot of balls to be showing up to these places after you said Kim is doing crystal meth. Camille tells us that, Kyle might feel uncomfortable with Brandi there, but she doesn't have an issue with Brandi. So she's not going to call her and uninvite her because that would be extremely rude. Dana's there and all the other ladies are there. Kyle and Lisa arrive together, and they're like, oh, Dana and Brandi are over there sitting in the corner. Now, remember, Lisa has met Brandi, but she just wasn't at game night. And like Taylor and Camille are the one that are kind of getting to know her. But Lisa didn't really like Brandi because that she was friends with Cedric, right? So they're like, oh, they're sitting in the corner. And they're like, we have to sit next to each other so we don't have to sit by them. They're all going to be sitting at the same table because how these things work is all the housewives are sitting together because they're filming. You know what I mean? So it wouldn't make sense to have 47 camera crews. They're all going to put them together. So Kyle says this is the first time that they're seeing each other since game night, and the awkwardness is at an all-time high. The meal is served, and Dana turned around and asked Kyle, she's like, oh, have you had a chance to chat with Brandi? And both of them are like, no, and we're not going to. And then Kim gives Kim's not there. I don't think Kim's there. Camille gives a speech and she honors her mother with an award. It's a very touching speech, and Kyle tears up and she's thinking about her mom who she lost to breast cancer. Dessert is served and Kyle and Lisa are like whispering and giggling. Again, mean girl. Like, it's so weird because Brandi, even if they're not talking about Brandi, at this point, Brandi feels like they are talking about her. And she says, this seems childish. And then Brandi at the table was getting some texts from her ex and tells Adrian that he's causing drama. And basically she says that he makes her feel bad about her parenting. And that is why she doesn't want anybody to be talking badly about her kids or her parenting. And she says that kids should be off limits. And essentially, he's trying to go after custody. I think the underlying context is because now that he's married, he's trying to go after custody. Okay, sorry, my dog was barking. So anyway, she is like really triggered by the fact that people would talk about her parenting because she feels like that her ex is going to use anything that he can against her to get custody, essentially. I think maybe we talk about this in the next episode. Again, I've watched so many episodes ahead. I'm like, I can't remember what happened. So now Lisa is like to Kyle, she's like, are you going to say anything to Brandi? And Kyle's like, why? I've already said everything I've needed to say. And then Kyle and Lisa's like, well, I have to say something because at this point it's getting rude. And Kyle says, it's past the point of being rude. And then she's like, well, what are you going to say to her? And Lisa asks, how can you just sit here and everybody's basically ignoring her. How can she just sit here and act like that? And then she goes to Brandi and she's like, well, where do you live? And Brandi goes, well, off Mulholland. And Lisa's like, oh, okay. And then they just sit there again with like nobody talking. I don't know. Camille says that the event was a success, and Brandi says that she was glad to be able to attend the event and she just wanted to keep to herself. And she was happy that it was a drama-free day and that she was maybe thinking about not going to events after what happened at game night, but now she feels like she could be more comfortable with it. And Lisa says that she finds it stressful just sitting there and saying nothing. And she's like, it's going to be difficult even having a relationship with this woman. Let's put a pin in that. Lots of pens are lining up at this point. I don't know. I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down. Stuff that we won't even stuff that I have not really given a second thought to. I'm starting to add things up just by this rewatch, and it's really like eye-opening. And it's what's so interesting is when you're watching these shows, like as they come out and you're, in the thick of it. For me personally, I take stuff at face value. I'm not questioning what people are saying. I'm just like, oh, okay. And then stuff happens. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe that. I can't believe they would think that, or I can't believe they would say that. And now 15 years later, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what was going on. And I just couldn't see it because they were so masterful, in their puppeteering. But yeah, it's interesting. And the thing about Beverly Hills, and we're going to talk about this in a couple of episodes, but the thing about Beverly Hills, what makes this season so good is what's making current seasons so terrible, because they've never been able to really just get back to authenticity. So we'll put a pin on that. But I think it's just interesting seeing everything and how everything is adding together. Okay, so now our last scene in the episode, and it's Kim and Adrian are going on a walk. So Adrian asks about game night, and that, Kim didn't go to Camille's charity event. And Kim was like, well, I was packing. I'm not worried about Brandi. So basically, she's trying to be like, I didn't go just because Brandi was going. So Kim tells us that she is most upset that she let someone like Brandi bring her down to Brandi's level. Baby, what? You started it. What do you mean bring it down to her level? She brought it, like, again, Brandi's not starting shit. She's finishing shit, right? You know what I mean? Like, accusing someone of being on crystal meth finishes it as far as I'm concerned. You can't do much after that. So you were like, I don't like her. I don't want her on my team. You hit her crutches. This is all before anything else was said. You know what I mean? You all were gossiping about her and talking about her in front of her face. What the fuck are you talking about? Bring her down to her level. So Kim tells Adrian that when she said, bring it on, bitch, the whole thing was like this domino effect downward. Yeah, after you'd already done all that shit. So Adrian says that Brandi feels awful for what she said. And Kim tells us Brandi will not get a second chance with her. Put a pin in it. Adrian asked her how her and Kyle are doing. And Kim says that she just doesn't know if they will ever be the same. It gets better and she loves her. And then there are times where she thinks, how could you have done that to me? And she'll never forget the night in the limo. And remember, Adrian was there. Adrian saw this firsthand. And Adrian says, maybe you can forgive her. And Kim says that, she's really trying to move on. But then all of a sudden, the memory of that night will just come back and it brings back all those feelings. So she's working on it. And that's the end of the episode. And this is the end of this episode. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sorry it's been such a messed up week. Hopefully we'll get back on track next week with more episodes of Beverly Hills. There's one more for this week. I'm hoping to get it out hopefully today. I cannot make any promises, but happy new year to everyone who celebrates. I crack myself up. But I hope that your New Year's was amazing, and I hope you're not sleeping off a hangover. But if you are, I hope the sounds of the dulcet tones of my voice can bring you some joy today. And if it does, don't forget to give me a rating and review. And, if you'd like to make a donation to the podcast, I do have a Buy Me a Coffee link in the show notes. So I hope you have an amazing day, and I will talk to you later. Bye.